A very good morning to you and welcome to Your World. My name is Mwikali Mary, and this being Thursday, it's Trendy Thursday, where we're starting this conversation today on a very, very important note. We're starting with a conversation focusing on something that shapes every child's future. It shaped yours, it shaped mine. I'm talking about education and leadership in education. Now, from Kenya to the rest of the continent, Africa, we are seeing a lot of things changing in schools. Curriculums are changing. Technology is moving faster than some of the schools can keep up. So the question is, the people in leadership when it comes to education, are they equipped well to be able to keep up with this change? So that is what we're focusing on today. There's a huge conference that's happening in Kenya this week, and we're going to be understanding what is happening. Why is it important? Why now? And helping us have this conversation, starting from my immediate left, we have Dr. Maurice Opondo. I hope I say that right. He's the CEO of Kenya Education Management Institute. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And next to Dr. Maurice, we have Shem, Bodo, who is the Senior Programs Officer, Association for the Development of Education in Africa, ADEA. Karibuni, lovely to have you. And I know I've said long titles. Yes. I'd like for you to take this opportunity to probably just reintroduce yourself and also give us a bit of details. What does KEMI do, even before we get to the meat of the conversation and also looking at what this conference is all about? We'll start with you, Dr.
Thank you very much, Mary. My name is Maurice Opondo.
Yes.
I'm the CEO of Kenya Education Management Institute. And Kenya Education Management Institute is KEMI.
Yes.
In brief. So going forward as an institution, we have been existent for the last around 18 years.
Whoa.
In fact, it stretches back to 1981. It's over 18 years.
Yes, it is.
Strictly speaking.
Yes, it is.
And this institution was established by the Ministry of Education to support school leadership across the nation. And going forward, we carry out school leadership training for all the school leaders, stretching from the levels at the ministry, the boards of management, the principals and heads of institutions for our schools. And this, of course, is coupled with the innovative research that supports in delivering effective leadership program for our school leaders. And alongside that, as an institution, we carry out consultancy services from time to time to support improvement in learning outcomes across the nation.
Absolutely.
That's what KEMI does.
That's quite comprehensive. Shem, ADEA,
Yes.
what is ADEA about and what does it do?
Yes, ADEA, I know it's a long name.
Yes.
But a very important name. ADEA
Yes.
is the Association for the Development of Education in Africa.
Yes.
We are a Pan-African organization. We are based in Abidjan, in Ivory Coast, and we support African countries because our vision is to see countries that are empowered to be able to transform their education systems in a sustainable manner. So we strongly believe in empowerment, we strongly believe in ownership, we strongly believe in leadership, because that is what sustains any development, progress that goes on. So we work with ministries of education of all the 54 countries, and we are looking at issues of policy. We are also looking at issues of capacity strengthening. We are looking at issues of advocacy, issues of research. And that's what we do. And KEMI is a very, very strong partner over there.
Yes.
Because we work very closely on many, many fronts.
Then you're the best people to have this conversation with, especially with everything that is changing. And it's not just in Kenya. I think it's across the continent.
Beyond.
There's a lot of things that are changing when it looks at this, when you look at the school setup. But there's a conference happening. KEMI, it's called the KEMI International Conference, yes. 2026. For anyone who's hearing this for the very first time and wondering, what is that? What is it about? Who are brought together by this particular conference and to do what, Dr. Maurice?
Yes, thank you, Mary. This international conference draws in over 15 countries across the globe. We have countries represented in the conference stretching from United Kingdom. We have West African countries, we have South African countries. We do have East African countries. But as well, we have our own institutions within the country.
Yeah.
The ministry is on top of things in this very conference. Our state agencies, Teacher Service Commission, we have KSCD, we have NEC, we have KISE. All these players are involved in this very important conference.
Yes.
So essentially, I would say that we have policymakers, practitioners, that is the principals of our institutions, the heads of institutions, the chief principals of teacher training colleges. All these key stakeholders are brought together to refocus and repurpose on innovative research and best practices for school leadership across Africa.
Mm-hmm. This is, so when you talk about this week, these are all the people who've been brought together, and this is the conversation that Kenya is focused. The world is looking, because, is it the first one?
Yes, this is the
inaugural.
Inaugural.
Yes.
We've done others, but they've been at low-key levels.
Yes.
But this is a conference of its own kind.
Yeah.
It can't be compared to others that we've been able to carry out at low-key levels.
Yes.
So this is a magnificent conference, whose effect, in my view, will support in policy insights. How best do we bring on board all these key players to curate some of these important leadership practices to improve our learning outcomes across the continent? Because we are looking forward to the practitioners coming in with their expertise. We are looking forward to the policymakers. We are looking forward to develop partners like ADEA is in this very conference. African Center for School Leadership is in this conference. VUB Education for Development is in this conference. These are key players who are very essential in scaling leadership programs across the continent.
Okay. And you mentioned ACSL, so I think I'll just rope you in on this, Shem, and maybe to just understand the importance, because it's a lead sponsor when it comes to this particular conference, why the need to, attach or be part of this, and what is it bringing to the table as well?
Thank you, Mary. First of all, yes, ADEA is actually a member of the African Center for School Leadership.
Yes.
The African Center for School Leadership is a Pan-African initiative, and the goal is to promote effective school leadership in our schools. And it is made up of a consortium of coordinating partners and implementing partners. So you can see where KEMI fits in as an implementing partner.
Yeah.
And for the coordinating partners, we have ADEA, then we have VVOB, we also have FAWE, and we also have Education Sub-Saharan Africa, ESA. So we operate, and this is really the alignment with this conference. If you look at the theme of the conference, the issue of leadership, the issue of governance, the issue of research, the issue of inclusion, they are all waved in within the themes and the sub-themes. And so because of the focus of the African Center for School Leadership, this is why we find this conference very, very important for us, and hence the sponsorship that you're talking about. Because we are operating in four streams, say. We are operating at the policy and advocacy level, which ADEA is in charge of.
Okay.
Then we have the second area, which is professional development. So here you have the school leaders, capacity strengthening and all. And this is where VVOB comes in as the second one. We also have the area of research, because you cannot fly blind.
No, you can't.
Evidence should inform action, whether it is at policy, at practice, etc. So this is where ESA comes in, the element of research. And the fourth area is around sector coordination. It's around also the issue of advocacy. And again, ADEA and the other members are in charge of this. But very important, you can only make change when you carry everybody along. And since the issue of inclusion, the issue of gender, and this is where FAWE comes in. So you can see that all the elements under the African Center for School Leadership are contained in this conference. Hence our big interest on this. But not only that, when you look at the continental arena, the African Union's heads of state endorsed a continental strategy last year. The Continental Education Strategy for Africa, 2026 to 2035. And the second strategic area of the 7 in that strategy is talking about educators, leaders, and caregivers. And so when you look at the leadership aspect, they are promoting effective school leadership. And very specifically, deliberately focusing also on the promotion of women leaders. or female leaders, because this is an area, it is a gap.
Yes.
So because of this, we see a very good alignment of this conference with the continental arena. So that's number one. Okay. Number two, as ADEA, we had a big meeting last year in Accra called the Triennial. It's a big meeting on education held every 3 years. And school leadership was one of the main sub-themes. We had good recommendations from there, including promoting what we call Afrocentric school leadership. Leadership steeped in African values and African cultures.
That's very interesting.
Yes. Yeah. So this is something that is being discussed, that we really discussed at this conference. And so we see a big alignment between what we are doing in terms of carrying forward the recommendations from the Triennial to KEMI as we move along, because we don't want meetings just to be meetings. Yeah. These meetings should be incremental, and there should be some tangible outcome that you can be able to track and say, has change happened on the ground? And then again, finally, yes, the beauty of this conference is that you have the voice on the ground, in the room and online. Yes. You have the school leaders, you have the principals, and you even have students in there. So for us, this is really a key moment where sometimes we forget the voice on the ground. If we are talking about starting from the bottom up, you need to, the ground should inform the policies. Yes. The policy should give feedback to the ground. Yes. This is how it is entrained. And that is why we are very happy as the African Center for School Leadership to be a partner of KEMI.
KEMI. You mentioned something about Afrocentric kind of education and, just focusing on that. What does that look like? And is it already rolling, or is it a conversation that is happening to start?
It's a conversation that is happening. Okay. It started actually in Accra, and even before that, yes, with the African Center for School Leadership. It has gathered momentum because we are saying that we don't want leadership to be necessarily borrowed. Yeah. We want leadership that is promoting our own value systems as Africans, because that is where Ubuntu comes in. Yes. I am because you are. Yes. So how do we infuse the Ubuntu philosophy into school leadership, and hence the Afrocentric leadership? So it's a conversation that is going on. We are already working, as I mentioned, with the African Union. Yes. But also with other regional bodies like AFTRA and the others to promote this particular concept, because it is so important. We want to contextualize, we want to learn from the globe, but we want to contextualize it to our own environment, our own systems. Yeah. So can we have African leaders that are still promoting our own cultures, our own values? And this is very important for us.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And we've stayed from the beginning of this you wanted to add on something?
Yes,
Dr. Please go ahead.
Let me cap on something from what my colleague has indicated, particularly on the transformation agenda at the African level. Yes. Now, it speaks to CESA 2026, 2035. And if you look at the conference we have organized, it positions transformation as a concern for the African continent. When you look at it, in the title is Catalyst for Transformation. Yes. Reinventing leadership in a sustainable and inclusive education ecosystem. Yes. But why transforming education? Yeah. The whole agenda at the African level, at the AU position, is to transform education systems. That is a framework action for all the country members at the AU level. And this conference in itself now speaks to us at the national level. In the country, we are transforming our systems. Yeah. And we have to reinvent leadership, so that leadership is well-grounded, well-prepared to effectively implement the agenda in matters school leadership, in matters effective implementation of the classroom programs in our country. So this conference is real time. It's coming in to feed in to the need of the nation and the need of the African continent and the globe at large, because these challenges cut across. Yes. If they move from Nigeria to Malaysia to India, from South Africa to United Kingdom, they are all the same. What differs are the contexts, but the challenges we experience in education systems are the same.
Yeah. And when we've talked about curriculums changing all over, but then let's come back home to our CBC. And we're seeing parents getting involved, trying to get the hang of things, trying to understand what is happening, what is not happening. But when we talk about leadership, how important is this for this to start at home? And, you know, from that setup even before, because now it's not kama kitambo you'd unafanya homework unarudisha nyumbani. Now parents are building things, are sitting down. They are involved at that level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It is a competency-based education, CBE.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to what we do at the institution in matters leadership, our intention and focus is to build the school leader, to equip the school leaders with the desired competencies,
Yes.
to support these school leaders, to make them accountable. And of course, to work together and support the parents under the framework of parental engagement and empowerment. All these matters I'm discussing are well framed in various policies within the country, which guides on how we operate as an institution to support all those areas of concern towards ensuring that the school leaders are effectively positioned to spearhead effective implementation of competency-based education in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's very interesting to see all of this happen now. And there's been a lot of conversations during this conference. There's some highlights that have come up, things that we need to probably, moments of, we are doing this, this is the new thing happening in the country. And maybe we can just highlight on some of the things that have probably come up during this conference to just show what direction we're taking and how revolutionary this moment is for us as a country and the globe at large. We can start with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mary. Well, one of the key issues which actually has come from the conference floor is the focus on technology.
Yes.
How to support school leaders to effectively deliver with the application of relevant and equitable technology. And in my view, at that position, the attention is drawn to data-driven education management. And all our school leaders really have to be shaped to that direction. When ensuring that decisions that are made within the school framework, decisions on the human resources, decisions on the curriculum implementation, decisions on financial management within the schools, the physical facilities, are informed by data. Because this supports in ensuring that there is effective delivery of services to the child, who is the central concern for government.
Yes.
And for case in hand now within the country, Kenya Education Management Institute, KEMI, is supporting the delivery of KEMIs. I know that might confuse you a bit. I'm now talking about KEMIs, and I'm now talking about KEMI. Now,
yes, please elaborate.
The government has supported scholarship training on Kenya Education Management Information Systems.
Okay.
So as to enable our school leaders to deliver services informed by quality data. The training is ongoing across the country. We have been scaling it all through, started late last year. And it's a massive undertaking by government. So in our view, as a capacity building institution, we are on a good track because we are repositioning our school leaders so as to be able to apply technology to deliver and make learning environment conducive for the learner, and supporting making informed decisions, and of course feeding into policy reviews and development from time to time.
Okay. We do want to break and I'll probably have Shem jump onto this when we come back to also understand the schools that are probably in mashinani, you know, and they're calling it the last mile. So how are we taking care, even as we empower the teachers? Are these facilities also available for the children in school? Are they able to do the same things? If I'm taking my child up in Nairobi and there's another one, Uko, teachers are equipped, leaders are equipped, but what about facilities, resources that are needed for this? And we're going to get into that after the break. But right now, though, we're going to catch a quick break. We'll be right back, so don't go too far. Welcome back to Your World. It's Thursday. We're talking matters education on this first hour. The KEMI International Conference 2026 happening in the country. It's an inaugural one. Big conversation, policymakers, stakeholders when it comes to education and leadership in education. That's the conversation we're having. We have Dr. Maurice Opondo in the building. We have Shem Bodo as well as we talk about this. And just before the break, we were talking about technology and how we have our leaders in education are equipped that it's actively happening now. But when you look at the setups, especially in the rural areas, and you're calling it the last mile, how is that being done? Is it something that we're going to see as a reality? And maybe some of the things that you would recommend, especially having traversed Africa and seen the different issues that we have and challenges when it comes to technology in schools.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, this is a very important subject because, number one, technology is very dynamic.
Yeah.
And it is changing. And so the policies, the guiding principles need to also be adaptive to the changing technology. I think that's point number one. We started with computers, the big computers. Then they became smaller.
Yes.
Then they became tablets.
Yes.
Then now we have smartphones, right?
Yes.
So if you have a policy that is stagnant, it's not going to now inform what is happening in terms of even availing these gadgets to learners.
Yeah.
So that's point number one. The second point is also the artificial intelligence is moving at another speed.
Yeah.
And it is right in our face.
Yes.
We can't ignore it.
Yeah.
So how do we shift policy? How do we adapt policy to be able to also cope with that so that policy is constantly guiding practice? So that's the second point, because policy should actually guide practice, not the other way around.
Yes.
So if practice is already moving ahead,
Yeah.
policy then has to catch up, then there's something that we need to do. But coming back to your question, the engagement of EdTech, because EdTech is a tool, digital, these are tools.
Yeah.
The first point is that we should be able to use them to solve an education challenge. Not a technology challenge, an education challenge.
Okay.
Because we're focusing on education quality.
Yes.
So how do we sustain the quality of education? Leveraging on technology, hence education technology. And it is very, very important that in terms of inclusion, as you've said, we need to bring everybody on board. Because the SDGs, the CESA, we are talking of everyone. Yeah. So how do we leave out those who are in the rural areas, in the far-flung areas, the vulnerable groups, etc.? So we have initiatives that are ongoing, as you know, for example, in Kenya, the issue of the laptops and all that. But for the rural areas, because of issues of public connectivity and all that, we have some issues.
Yes.
So what do we do? The idea is to, for example, think about clustering, clustering schools, and then making use of the technology hubs, which I know is an initiative that is also already going on within the country. How do we set up these hubs and get clusters of schools to access? We really equip the hubs well so that schools, through a good program, can be able to go to those centers, the hubs, to be able to access, including the leaders.
Yeah,
where we have those challenges, like in the rural areas.
Yes.
So that's number one. Number two, we need to think about having gadgets and platforms that are offline. Let's think about offline, because it is possible to have a centralized system and decentralized systems, and then these decentralized systems don't need to be constantly online with the centralized system.
Yeah.
So they use them offline, so whether eco-steamer or not,
Yeah.
And then after that, they're able to now update the center. So offline tools, that's the second one. The third one is we need to think about not very high-tech, you have low-tech tools that can actually still do, So why don't we think about promoting the low-tech tools for those areas so that we don't leave them behind? We need to think about using solar panels, for example, to be able to power up some of those gadgets. So that's another way of doing it. But I think the one that perhaps can give us a much larger impact is where we have a strong public-private partnership.
Okay.
We think about the telecommunication organizations. We think about the industry. Why don't we partner with them so that they're able to support some of these initiatives as part of their corporate social responsibility? Zero rate the data bundles.
Yeah.
Because a school leader wants to access a meeting by KEMI,
Yes.
but he or she has to go and buy those data bundles. Why don't we talk so that some of those can be zero-rated for the learners and also for the school leaders? So these are some of the things that we feel that in order not to leave everybody behind, we need to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Resources are an issue, but how do we innovate within that constraint of resources? Because it is possible.
These are recommendations,
Yes.
Shem, and I'm hoping that the people who need to hear this are actually tuned in to hear it, because I think it would make a huge, huge difference if we go that direction. But still on you, and talking about a report that you shared, very comprehensive when it comes to school leadership in Africa. What are some of the findings that that came about, the highlights of this particular report?
Thank you.
I
Yes.
don't know.
Yes.
I think Maurice wants
Let
to
me
chip in.
allow Shem to breathe a bit, because
Yes.
I want to weigh into this.
Shem, are you okay? Okay. Yes, Dr.
It's taking a lot of airtime.
Fair enough, Dr.
Good.
Yes.
Now, what I want to indicate here is that technology itself
Yes.
is not a solution.
Uh-huh.
Technology is an enabler.
Yes.
And being an enabler, in my view, for what we have been able to undertake as an institution, that is KEMI,
Yes.
we have been able to apply technology through interfacing with the app-based arrangements under Google framework.
Okay.
We have been able now to develop a KEMI e-learning app, which is anchored in Google, making this initiative flexible for educators
Okay.
to access our programs at the comfort of their mobile phones. That is telephony training. The leaders need not now to acquire a huge gadget in the name of a laptop,
Yes.
but through the electronic gadget they have as the mobile phones,
Yeah.
they are able to interface in our programs. And we've been able to make that offline for them to be comfortably.
This is already happening, Dr.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
This is good.
KEMI has got what we call KEMI e-learning app.
Yeah.
If you access Google
Yes.
right now, you will see KEMI e-learning app
Yes.
in the Google.
Yes.
And this, of course, allows our school leaders to access our programs at the comfort of their mobile phones, at homes, in their offices. It makes learning comfortable. And we have arranged this in a way that it is offline. Of course, Shem had talked about partnership and collaboration.
Yes.
That is very powerful, because we have achieved all this through the support of our Ministry of Education and engagement of partners to deliver this particular agenda. So at this point, the conventional school leadership in this country is at a high level.
Yes.
That's what I want to assure the nation.
Yeah.
We are no longer operating at the what we call the analog arrangement.
No, we're digital.
We are interfacing at that KEMI app level,
Yes.
digitized, and one-on-one, online,
Yeah.
enabling our schoolers to get real-time feedback and appreciate the value of engaging with one another, the value of building an online learning community amongst the school leaders themselves.
Yeah.
That is how powerful we have grown as Kenya Education Management Institute.
I think it's a really powerful move as well, Dr. When you look at probably percentages of like how many people have been, or how many leaders, how many institutions have been probably onboarded on this or are already using this, what would that percentage probably look like?
Yeah, it's good. We are progressing on this. We are building on this.
Yes.
We've done with our heads of institutions.
Wow.
At this point, we are moving on with the senior schools. And then we do scaling
Yes.
across the nation. It's
I
a
am here for
powerful
it.
initiative.
Yes.
This country is up there with matters school leadership.
I am here for all of it. Here for all of it. Shem, are you okay now?
Yes.
You're recharged.
I'm No,
Dr. cares about you.
Thank you, Dr. for the concern. Yes.
Then maybe we can talk about the findings.
Yeah, for the findings. So this was a mapping study that was done at the continental level.
Yeah.
So we're saying that school leadership is important. And we are saying that the CESA has got school leadership as one of its, pillars. So, but we wanted to find out what is on the ground, you know, when you look at the continental level. Who are the actors? What are they doing? So that we really map whom we need to work with to strengthen school leadership.
Yes.
And so we came up with about 5, you know, key findings.
Okay.
And recommendations, because we found out that there is need first to strengthen policy implementation around school leadership, and also to tighten up on standards. We need to have updated standards at the continental level that is able to guide school leaders at the national level and subnational level up to the school level. So that was one finding, and by itself a recommendation to strengthen, you know, the implementation of policies around school leadership and also around standards. The second one is around institutionalization of the professional development of school leaders. We talk a lot about professional development of teachers.
Yes.
Of course, teachers are also by themselves leaders, but we also have the leaders themselves, the principals.
Yes.
So can we also think about giving them capacity that is institutionalized? Because it is only when it is institutionalized that it is sustainable, that it attracts the budget. So that was one of the findings, that it is important we do that. The other one was around research.
Okay.
We want to invest in research a bit more. And also it is important to promote our own researchers. We have a lot of statistics, a lot of data, a lot of research that is coming from outside. And Africa, you know, is a continent, not a country.
Yes.
As I always remind people.
Yes, please.
So you'll find that because of the diversity and the different contexts, you will find that, for example, a finding in country X, I will not want to talk of the names.
Yes.
You find that country X is doing very well. Then you find another, say, group of countries that are not doing so well, that need to catch up. When you aggregate, then you say Africa is not doing well in a particular area. So if you find maybe a statistic like 9 out of 10 children are not able to read a simple text, when you really drill down to that particular finding, you find that there are certain countries where that does not apply.
Yes.
But there are some where that applies.
Yeah.
So we are saying, can we invest in our own local research that is responding to our own needs, that is able to solve our own solutions?
Yeah.
So that is another finding that came through. And can we then generate evidence that is helpful to us, not just generating evidence for itself or for the sake of it? The other one is around strengthening coordination, especially coordination of the different players and the knowledge transfer, you know, around school leadership. Okay. Because it is a growing area, we need to really harness the knowledge that is coming up. And finally, the issue of gender inclusion, gender equality. Yeah. Can we really focus on that? Because as I mentioned, we have a gap. Because, you know, you need role models, even in the area of leadership. So we also need female leaders. So can we really focus on really this issue of gender, so that also our girls and our women can be able to look at role models, and they can also know that they can actually lead. Yeah. Research actually shows that institutions where females are heads are doing better in quality than where men are. Daktari, sorry. I
am here celebrating on behalf of the women in leadership when it comes to education.
It's the research, so we must focus our investment on that. Let's generate the data.
Daktari uko sawa.
So that was also one of the findings, so that we really talk about inclusive leadership systems. Yeah. And we need to operate at systems level. Okay. But with the voice from the ground. Yes. Yeah.
This, I think, ropes in the conversation we were having during the break. We have beautiful findings, research that needs to be done, some that has already been done, policies that have been put in place. With this conference and the magnitude and the weight that it carries, how do we then ensure, Daktari, that we move from talk to action? What are some of the things that have been put in place to just be like, this is not just any other conference. We're doing things different. We're having these conversations, but we are closing the conference, but we are rolling on ground to just make sure everything that was said and everything that we pledged to do is going to be done.
Yes, thank you, Mary. This conference is actually arranged at a different level because it's not just a conference for a conference sake. Yeah. the conference with the intention to sustain the discussions that shall have been distilled from the floor so as to support improving school leadership across the continent. As we speak today, we are working on establishing the gaps because speakers have spoken. They are still going on the floor. Teachers have spoken. Heads of institutions, principals, policymakers, they have spoken across Africa.
Yeah.
And there are issues they are actually concretizing on. So our intention is to look into these gaps and put forward recommendations on how we can take up action on each and every action areas for us to continue improving school leadership across the continent. Because that's the agenda. And this way is in into what Shem has mentioned, that when you carry out research, you'll generalize the findings. But you dig deep into the details at country to country level, you'll find the results are not really the same. But of course, the generalization might have been affected by the overarching findings of a larger quantity of reports. So that you could find that 2 countries are doing well, 3 countries are doing well. But because a number of them are not doing well, then the aggregate effect that we are not doing well as a continent, which is not the case.
Yes.
So this conference, in my view, as we work on it as at now, we are consolidating the areas of concern across the continent, because we have scenarios in our country, example, where we already have established systems. We have institutionalized some of these programs. We have structures are in place. For example, we have an institution that is KEMI, undertaking school leadership. In some scenarios, they don't exist in other countries. So we are looking forward to that, so that we are trying to overcome the fragmented approach of training which was established in the mapping report. Because the mapping report established the fragmented capacity building programs, which are one-off, have no impact, and not followed up across the continent. But when it comes to Kenya, that's why we are leading this conference. We have institutionalized leadership programs within KEMI as a nation. And we have put in structures. Policies have been framed to guide on how we can undertake school leadership programs in the country. And that's why we are leading this, so that we are able to scale this conversation with all the partners across the continent, and we move at the same level.
Absolutely. I don't know if Shem, you'd like to add on to that?
Yes, absolutely. I think we have to move away from this practice of having events, conferences, seminars that are fragmented. Each time you come for a webinar or a seminar, you have a set of objectives and expected outcomes. That is closed. We have recommendations. But the next time we hold a second version of the same, we don't take time to take stock of what has happened since what we agreed on. So we want to hold each other to account. And we want to work as partners with KEMI and with governments to make sure that each gathering builds on the last one. And so what the CEO is saying is very important. And we are challenging KEMI. That we need to work together to come up with actionable recommendations. We don't want a shopping list.
No.
We don't have enough resources to do everything. There's a lot of competition. If we can focus on maybe a few, like even just 5 key recommendations, then we now develop a roadmap, which includes a monitoring framework to track the implementation of those recommendations. So that when we have the next conference, and I was intimating to the CEO that we need to look at this conference beyond KEMI. We need to think, what is our contribution to the East African community integration process? Because there is harmonization of education systems within East Africa. So, yes, we are starting in Kenya, but we are a region. So can we think about an equivalent KEMI in Rwanda, an equivalent KEMI in Tanzania, etc., and then start thinking of this conference going regional? That means having it rotational. That means having it institutionalized and therefore sustainable.
Absolutely.
And then the East African community becomes an example to the other regions, because then we move now to the continent. Because as ADEA, we are operating at continental level. This is the thinking we have.
Yeah.
So to come back to that question is that we need to have those very tangible recommendations, which the CEO has said, and then we have a roadmap and we have a framework which we can track so that we're able to, even as ADEA now, we now can pick some of those recommendations because they're in line with the work we are doing from Ghana, because there were agreements made there then.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, this is very important to us because it's already one of the implementation processes that are going on.
Yes.
So we want to track those so that when we have the next conference, we start with an audit where
of what we said last time. Have we done that?
Correct.
Where are we now before we make new recommendations for next time? I think that's really you have a duty to answer and see if you're creating. Just before we continue, we have two questions from our audiences. We'd like to pick those from our WhatsApp line and just have you answer. Good morning. I am following up keenly on the show. I am one of the key users of KEMI. My concern, how do I create an account with KEMI e-learning? This is Victor Alambe from Kakamega. So Dr. Ari will take up that. Good morning. Kindly ask KEMI management about these questions. All right. How is KEMI ensuring that school principals are not just administrators, but instructional leaders, capable of managing the specialized pathways in senior schools? That is question one. Question two, with the launch of the Spotlight on Basic Education Completion report at this conference, what specific management shifts is KEMI proposing to fix the transition gaps identified in rural areas? I will repeat them for you later. And three, what is KEMI's roadmap for training education managers to use artificial intelligence for data-driven decision-making without compromising data privacy? So we've got a couple of questions for you, and we will try and see if we can answer them quickly. How many minutes do I have, Philip? Okay, thank you very much. So I'll start with a very fast question. And the very first question was, how is KEMI ensuring that school principals are not just administrators, but instructional leaders capable of managing the specialized pathways in senior school? I think you can add this on to also the question on how to get on the e-learning app, the KEMI. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Mary. The first question is on how to create an account. We have an enabled team which supports our school leaders to create accounts. And we have an existing line for engagement with our admission setup.
Yes.
Yeah, we have real-time support from the ground.
Okay.
So that whenever a school leader, whenever a trainer who wants to cause a interface with the trainee is ready, they are able to feed in and support the trainees. But more importantly, that is alive. That is what we do. So I would ask the participant who is online to get into our website and post a question on the website. And he or she will receive an answer immediately on how he or she will be allowed to create an account in the system, because we support them online.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Now, getting to converting or transiting from administration to instructional leader.
Yes.
But I want to call it pedagogical leadership.
Aha.
Yeah. Okay. The attention here is to undertake a paradigm shift, because an administrator is not dynamic. An administrator will not respond to the dynamism within the education space. They will focus on the strict rules, but the curriculum, provides space for oscillation.
Yes.
To allow the actors to renovate, to effectively implement the curriculum. Okay. So our concern and our attention as an institution, as a capacity building institution, we have shifted from providing compliance-based training to undertaking behavior change training.
Okay.
Where we impress upon our school leaders that the bottom line is improving learning outcomes. And therefore, emphasis must be looked into as far as the environment of learning is concerned, in matters making it friendly for the learners.
Yes.
And as far as supporting the teachers within the space, and also supporting in the teaching and learning materials provision, monitoring the teaching and learning processes within the school, so as to improve learning outcomes within the setup. So we are really keen on that. And that's why we have put forward KEMI app learning platform.
Yes.
To reach out to the school leaders real time, to support them in converting themselves from administrators to pedagogical leaders.
Okay.
So as to effectively improve education outcomes within the country.
Fantastic. Shem, I can see you're eager to go.
Yeah, just a short addition to that,
Yes.
that also this speaks to the issue of standards and guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Because where you leave the interpretation of policy to the implementer, then the interpretation depends on me as Shem.
Yes.
But where we have standards and guidelines that really break down what it means about what the policy is saying, then it makes it easier to stick to the role and responsibilities of the school leader so that they are more pedagogical than just administrators.
Okay.
And that's why also alignment to the continental standards and guidelines around school leadership is very important. I wanted to add that.
Okay, fantastic. We have about less than 3 minutes to get some of these questions answered. With the launch of the Spotlight on Basic Education Completion Report at this conference, what specific management shifts is KEMI proposing to fix transitional gaps identified in rural areas? I take it again?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. With the launch of the Spotlight on Basic Education Completion Report at this conference, what specific management shifts is KEMI proposing to fix the transitional gaps identified in rural areas?
Now, Mary, what the viewer should actually appreciate as at this point, is that as a country we have made progress in matters of school leadership.
Yeah.
And the gaps which, of course, are mentioned in the report, are gaps which we are addressing as we speak right now. We are on our feet addressing the possible gaps that the Spotlight report had indicated. Mm-hmm. And in this, he or she will concur with me that we have programs ongoing as at now to transition these school leaders, to support them, just as I mentioned in the previous response, support them in matters, competencies, which they could be lacking towards rolling out the desired agenda in matters effective implementation of our curriculum and supporting the teachers within the school environment.
Absolutely. And our time is up, so yes.
No, I just wanted on the last one, I think about AI.
Yes.
I think the key here is to really enforce the policies and the guidelines that we have so that we protect the producer of the data so that it is not misused.
Yes.
You know, we have a data protection law and we have other frameworks. So I think the issue is enforcement. If we enforce it well, we'll be able to align. I think that's what I wanted to add to it.
And we have more questions that we didn't finish, but Dr. as you give your parting shot, maybe also an encouragement for a parent, a student who's tuned in and just wanted to let them know what their future looks like from what is going on this week. And this is for both of you, Dr. and Shem, as you add on to that and just give your final
thank you very much, Mary. To the parents across the African continent, I want to assure them that leadership at the African level is keen on ensuring that the children receive the best in matters teaching and learning process within our institutions of learning across the region. And as an institution, KEMI, our attention, of course, is drawn towards ensuring that the school leaders are competent, the school leaders are supported, the school leaders are indeed accountable, so that the learners that experience the learning scenarios within the school setup succeed.
Okay.
So we are assuring them of success, because at African level, leadership is on focus.
Absolutely.
At the national level, KEMI undertaking leadership program for our school leaders, we are on top of things.
Asante.
So all are set for success.
Great.
Thank you.
In 10 seconds.
In 10 seconds. And the African Center for School Leadership is ready to be in there with KEMI and other partners on the long haul to really bring the issue of school leadership as a real priority, because it informs and improves education quality. And so the parent out there should know that they are not alone. We hear them. We had the voice of the school leaders and the teachers. And I would really like to tell the leaders and head teachers that are in this conference that we have had the voice. And as ACSL and KEMI and other partners, we are going to work to bring that voice from the ground to the top.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Finally, Dr. how can people get in touch with KEMI and anyone who sent their questions and they probably would like to follow up that we didn't get through to answering all of them? Our website.
Yes, you can get to info@kemi.ac.ke. I encourage you to forward the questions so that we can have on-spot responses to support you as our esteemed school leaders. Across the nation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maurice.
You're not asking?
Oh, sorry. Yes, please.
How can you forget me?
I'm so sorry, Shem.
Yeah, no problem. For the ACSL, we have a website. You just need to type the African Center of School Leadership, and it will come. For ADEA, we are at www.adeanet.org. You'll have an email address. All our contacts are there. Get in touch. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. Now, thank you. Finally, Dr.
It's done.
Yes, and Shem, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we shift gears and get into the world of film. So don't go too far. We'll be right back after this break.